In this video, we're going to see what a BH92 backhoe can do. It's attached to an L4740 Kubota tractor. Video we seen, I put a road down through there. I since covered it with soil. Today, I'm going to be putting the road up through here, and we're going to see the challenges that was met with the Kubota. The first thing I did was cut some of the trees down, and typically I chunked them up maybe in 6 foot, 8 foot lengths because it's easier to slide the brush in between the trees. I'm not going to bore you with too much brush cutting and tree cuttings because you came here to watch what the backhoe can do. The thumb on the backhoe comes in very, very handy, especially for moving brush. Mine's only a manual, but you can adjust what position you want the thumb to be in. What I'm doing here is taking all the brush that I cut, and I'm taking it from the high of the road and putting it to the low, so that way there'll be a little less soil that you need to put over there. It's a little efficient, and it certainly stabilizes the road as well. Now what I usually do with the long stick that I'm going to use for 5, I put them aside. I'll come back and cut them up later. But it's certainly a time saver when you can move all the brush around with the backhoe. Instead of cutting it up and moving it on manually, it's just a couple of minute job here. Well, this is where the challenge begins. I have to go up and clear those trees there, those birch, and as you can tell, they're very close together, so all the roots are strapped together and growing together, so you almost have to take them all out at once. So it was quite a challenge, as you're going to see. After about 10 minutes of digging, this is what it looked like. Felt bad I didn't have my tripod, so I had to basically just hold the camera, so it was hard to do that and operate at the same time. As you can see there, I was pulling on them pretty hard, but still there was a root, and it ended up being about a 5-inch, 6-inch root that bound these together. Now the backhoe has no problem lifting big roots. This is not too big, but I seen stumps 2 feet across, and I was able to pick them up. But when they're all stuck together like that, it's pretty hard digging. Now this one here, there was a root that bound the stump I'm trying to pull out with the stump behind it, and as you can see, after I finally got it out, it was like a 5 or 6-inch root system that held them both together. And once I pull this apart, you look at the size of that root that was holding those two together. As you can see here, there's a very sizable hole, and look at the size of that root that was holding those two stumps together. So far I got about 15-20 minutes into this stuff. I leave these stumps maybe a couple feet high, that way I can get the top of them and have a little more leverage to knock them over like that. Stump behind him was about 8-10 inches. I figure it's a little less than a minute for every inch of stump. Say, for example, this stump is about 10 inches around diameter. It'll take about 10 minutes to get out. I bumped the ATV. I had the camera in one hand and the controls in the other, so it wasn't that smooth. Typically, the spruce stumps are very shallow, and this size stump might have only taken me 5 or 6 minutes to get out. But the hardwoods run a little deeper, and you have to dig a little deeper, and a lot of times they're networked with other stumps. So altogether, what we've seen here is probably about a half an hour, 35 minutes, or I suppose, to get all this out. Time I finish filling the hole and cleaning it up, it's probably close to 40 minutes, 45 minutes. So that was a big cluster of stumps, and again, if it was just one standalone stump and it was 10 inches, it would have taken about 10 minutes to take out. It's no problem. Again, that probably would weigh maybe 500 pounds or something, but there's no problem digging something like that out. Trouble handling this 3-foot rock here. It's a 5-inch stump here. As you can tell, it's not much of a challenge. Left it alone, just tip it over, break off the roots. I might scoop a little dirt off one side and break off a couple of roots. But see, it's just easier on the machine to break off some roots first, right? Break off on both sides. And if the roots don't break, one of the big tricks to do is take the soil off the root first, and then the roots break with not much challenge at all. The ground is kind of porous and soft here, so it was a little easier to get the stump out of this spot. Well, that just about does it for that stump. Met another challenge, a rock, which was much bigger than I thought it was. Well, this big rock proved more of a challenge. It only looked like about maybe 2.5, like 3 feet and 3 feet deep. So I just dug around it, and typically you just dig around it and I could haul it out or push it out with the bucket. But as you can tell, this is going to be a little more challenging than that. Thought I could push it out with the bucket, but the rock was much deeper than I thought that it was. not only was it deep, it was kind of round, so I couldn't get a really good lip on it to dig it out and move it. So it was back to the drawing board to dig around the stump more with the backhoe. And as you can see, every time I hit the rock, there's a bunch of rock dust come off. But here's the size of the rock. That's some potato, isn't it? So it was still kind of in the way. I wanted to get it moved over another 5 or 8 feet. So I had to dig out an area because I don't think I could pick it up even if it was flat and I could get a grip on it. But it was kind of round. So I had to mess with it and dig around. This whole rock probably took me half an hour, 40 minutes, I suppose. This goes to show what, trouble a rock that size can have on a backhoe. A big 13-ton excavator would manhandle that pretty good. But what I'm going to do is just reposition the tractor and take another bite, and I'm going to just flip that over. I can do that easy. What I did here was opened up the thumb a lot wider so that I could get actually underneath the rock with the bucket itself. The thumb was more in the way, so I readjusted the position of the thumb. It was a bit of a challenge to try to get it over that bank there. So what I did was just dug out that bank. But at least it's out of the way now, and I won't hit it with the truck. What happens sometimes if you bury them and you have a big open area, you come in with the truck and a year later and you forgot about it and some of the soil settled around the rock and you go over the rock like I did about a month ago and took the running board off the truck. So I just wanted to get rid of it. It was in the way. I'm going to call this road. I'm going to call it Bitch Rock Road. That's enough for me today. I'm going to go home for dinner.